Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Guile treatment. I'm back. Yeah, we did it. We survived.
He
And
was
Rob is not here.
he was trapped.
Um,
He was trapped in the
so
stairwell.
instead, we have a guest this week. We have Tim Friedlieb
Still
from
there?
Las Vegas, former Rockford. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being on. You've been on before. I guess not with me though, so this is fun.
He is my co-partner in the restreams this season for the PTC. We have done
Oh yeah.
I think
Oh,
one
that's
and a
right.
half
Passing
because
over.
like one and a half.
One in a round and a half.
And a round and a half because poor Jacob out there in Somerville, his camera feed wasn't the best, but his audio was really good. So,
Yeah,
but we really appreciated him
on point.
trying to at least making the effort. So that's a plus. So.
Yeah, and also just got second place at PDC about a month ago, so that's always good too. So
Yeah.
So this episode it's gonna be, I guess we don't have much to talk about. We have a few announcements to make, but other than that, we're basically just gonna be talking about Seventh Cross. Now that we had one PTC with it, we're coming up this next weekend at time of recording. I guess when this comes out too, it's going to be the Dallas PTC. So I'm going to get my picks, and we're going to get Tim's picks for that too later on. But we're basically just going to evaluate how we think the Seventh Cross characters and/or card support is going to not only affect what we might see at that PTC and the meta in general, because as far as we know, this is going to be the most recent set for a while until we figure out something new. And so we're just going to talk about, like, Chris is going to be our expert talking about
Expert? That's
cards,
hilarious.
cards in older decks that we'll be adding. I've been playing around a lot with the actual Seventh Cross characters, so I'll be talking about them. And Tim has enough knowledge at both, and so he'll be feeding in. So first off, announcements-wise?
Yeah, we got the tins. Jasco posted which makes me sad because it was supposed to be just Sea Viper tins, but now it's Sea Viper and Jury tins. With that covert intent card where it's basically no Nomai in action, and it is 3 infinity symbols, which is all 12 symbols current now, because that's what the new ruling is. It has all 12 symbols on it. It's pretty neat. It is a one-check, which me and one-checks personally do not like each other, so I'll probably never play the card. I may mess around with it at locals, but I don't think, personally, I don't have the cojones, the Big Johnson luck to play it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think the card's pretty good. You guys' opinion on the card, real quick?
Which one? We want to talk about
Covert intent.
The Ryu one? Just covert intent?
Yeah, everyone's seen the Ryu one already. So
yeah, I agree with Tim. I think the card's nuts. It definitely is a big risk for a very big reward. It's very
I don't even think it's very big risk. I mean, it's a one check. People still already play one checks, and when they're in decks, they just do really well.
I guess it's more so. I don't know. You're right. I feel like if it's an attack with a one check, it's because whenever you play and you slam that card on the board, it will always have a really good effect. Whereas this card is still gated by things. This card, for the maximum capacity or like its best effect, you still need cards in card pools.
Yeah.
Which not every deck excels at, and if you're playing against a very wally DR deck, then they're not going to have any cards in their card pool.
Yeah.
You need the momentum cost, and if you play against like a good deck at DRing or blocking very well, you won't have any momentum. So like, it's not just a 5/1 attack, but it's a 5/1 action that is incredibly powerful.
No, I think the real thing that people, I don't know, I think a lot of I'll harken back to the days of the Nomai Nomai players, because I was a Nomai player.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, you had to play. I think it had to be your 4th attack in the card pool, and usually after that, if you got lucky enough to rip more gas, you were just building more. So it could just lead to turns where you're like, cool, I just smoked out 4 attacks. I'll play this. Cool, I just drew a hand of gray. Which isn't that bad, because then you just build a couple and then you pass and you have blocks in your hand. So it's not horrible, but I think the decks that will really take advantage of this are like the Zolts and like the Pingy decks that just want to play a bunch of attacks, low-cost attacks, and then just start slamming that card down. But yeah, it's something I guess I just started really embracing the offensive actions lately. So with the Let's Cut Looses and stuff, but Revoke all day for me. I love playing defense, but it does clear both card pools, and both players do draw cards. So it does have kind of a I don't know, two sides of the sword, I guess.
So
it is interesting though that you do point it out, because unlike Nomai, this card can be used defensively. Not that you necessarily might always want to give your opponent more cards on their attack turn, but it does say a last ditch effort kind of thing. Pitch off their stuff, you draw more blocks or cards that can help you survive. So like it does have that effect on it. I think for a momentum though, nowadays you can probably get that somewhat similar effect on a separate card. And I do agree that its biggest punch is on offense.
Yeah. Tim?
So I was going to say, because it does say effort and attack resolve, so you can use it defensively. I think really good players that are playing defensively, to mind comes an Akuma, right? So let's say Akuma is playing, you're playing an Akuma, and you've got your admission fees down, and you're reducing the speed on all of their attacks, and you're hacking their checks, and they're committing out, and you've got a giant card pool already of like 7 cards.
I see where this is going. Yeah, this is sick.
And then you play this, and you're drawing 8 cards, and they're drawing only like 3 cards. And then you're like, okay, well, you are definitely not going to kill me. And now I'm up more than my hand size, and I'm going to kill you on my turn.
Yeah, true.
I'm not saying that it's always going to be useful in any defensive situation, but it seems really good against, say, a Cassie that's already used her ability to put a bunch of stuff into her card pool and whatnot. I mean, that could backfire on you because even if she's tapped out, she's got a lot of stuff that ignores or doesn't count, and then she can play well. But, I mean, it's really good against those decks that want a lot of stuff in their own card pool. It's good against things that can shove. Like, this seems pretty decent against Lily. Not that people are playing Lily, but if she becomes viable, it seems pretty good. Oh, you're putting a bunch of stuff into my card pool on top of whatever I need to block? Sure, let's play this card.
It also
It
also can deny your opponent momentum too. So say that it's like their last attack and you've taken a couple, you can get rid of those cards so they don't have momentum going into your turn for defensive purposes or whatever. So
absolutely.
I think it's also
combos.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's also because it has like the Taki effect as well, where it's clearing both card pools and it's your card. So you can, if your opponent has a hand cannon in their card pool offensively, so they can stop you while they're trying to kill you, kind of thing. Or on your turn, they shove one in defensively. You can kick theirs first and then clear yours.
I can totally see this becoming a new tool for Taki to use. Maybe not like a 4x, but maybe like a 1 or a 2x, just because getting rid of that first attack is super easy with Taki. It's the second and third attacks which really hamper her. So you could play this after the second attack, and then if they have a third attack, then you're able to, I'm able to block it easier or whatever.
And I mean, any Fuma that you draw off of this after all that is crazy. So like, I totally see that. I totally agree with like characters like Zolt really taking advantage of stuff like this.
Absolutely.
The free multiple copies are free draws essentially, and if your opponent's only blocking your face ups, well, you're going to be drawing for all your face downs as well. So like, and especially in the chaos version that's been going around a lot, I have one as well. Like the only other action that I'm playing in that deck is Ancestral Quiver because it works really well in him, and even kicking Ancestral Quiver means checking for this is even easier, and that so one check isn't necessarily as bad. But you're right, it doesn't even have to be like a 4 of in those kind of decks. It can just be a thing where it's like, if I see this card, my turn is just way crazier.
Well, and it's also quite good against any deck that's playing multiple 2 or 3 attacks where there are multiple resolves, and then you respond with this, and they don't get those multiples because you're clearing them from the card pool.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But also, okay, this is maybe a little too memey, but this is like, I think this is cool. If you're on a turn where you know you're going to need to block stuff, and let's say they build a no progressive and then play an attack, and then you play this after their attack resolves, and then you have a Clockwork Castle in your hand.
That's super memey, because then it gets really easy to block with.
It's totally memey, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get you. I get where you're coming from. All right, so moving on from that, and so moving on from the tins, We have the Dallas PTC. Don't forget, and then I think we have one in Sacramento in 2 weeks. I believe it is the 20.
Sacramento is 2 weeks before Rockford.
So
I know about that one because I will be going.
Okay, so it's
Ooh.
Mississippi. Mississippi is the 22nd and 23rd.
Yeah,
so Mississippi, we're gonna have Brad Townsley on. We've already set it up. He's gonna be on the Tuesday beforehand. He's gonna have a bouncy castle. He's gonna break some chairs and tables. It's gonna be amazing. I'm hyping it up, and it's probably not gonna happen because Rob and Barrett will probably be trapped in a basement somewhere. So we'll have to get Tim back on and then another guest, and then we'll get Brad Townsley on.
Okay, listen, I don't know how y'all played it off, but I was actually in a tornado shelter.
Yes, I know. We
the
said
other
that.
day.
I know, we made it sound much
wide tornado that went through Kansas last week.
We made it sound much more dramatic.
Read about that in the news. I don't believe you.
But anywho, so other than that, don't forget to pre-register for the Rockford PTC. We need to know because there may be a pre-release, and we need to know how much product we need to have on hand because we're gonna have a teams sealed box event where you get 2 friends, you buy a box for $75, you make 3 decks, and you play against another team. I'm still trying to figure out what pricing is going to be, the price structure is going to be, but we're going to get some play mats made by Jasco because that's what I do. I do play mats because play mats are cool and they work as pillows if you need them. But anywho, so let's move on to the topic. I think that was it, right? We'll get your picks at the end of the show for the Dallas PTC, so we'll worry about that. I already talked about Kenosha on the... check out my Kenosha report on the Facebook page. I won. Technically, I won, but me and Ben are going to do finals at a later date because we were tired and old. So yeah, anywho.
Tired and old.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, we're
I
tired.
get tired. Sometimes I want to take naps.
Yes.
So there's multiple ways we can do this. We can obviously refer to the last PTC to kind of see which 7th Cross characters are people trying out right away. Which ones did people think were strong enough to bring to a PTC immediately after the release? Or we can obviously just go by character. I think it's more easy to talk about what 7th Cross characters are we going to see and which of their cards are affecting other meta decks.
That's fine. We can pick characters. You guys can just go off, and I can talk about what cards on their page would actually be seen in other decks or whatever. So
I'm trying to pull up the PTC results.
I know Solenka was in tops. Turin was in tops.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
Right.
Will Howard with Colonel.
Yeah, Will Howard, and Scott won with Janet because he had to because it's his namesake.
We'll go backwards.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll do whatever.
So in 6th place was Tim Keefe's Timmy Two Belts himself. In 6th place with his Solinka deck.
My friend Tim Keefe. Personal opinion, even though it's opinion. It's neither right nor wrong. So don't yell at me, people. I think she's the best character in the set. Maybe. She's either 1A or 1B. Because I really think there's only 2 characters that are really super strong in this set, and it's both her and Torn. But I think it just depends on who stacks faster. And I know he starts stacked, but he gets weaker as the game goes. She gets stronger as the game goes. So I think it's kind of a toss-up in a way. So that's why I have them 1A, 1B.
I think she definitely excels by having Moon Ritual Dance as one of her cards. So, and it's probably the best gauge card in the set. I would just say it's probably the best gauge card. Just because it's a 7 low, and its gauge is so already low because its base damage is 2. So it means at any point you give this if you give this an extra damage.
Yep.
If they half block it, you get it a character no matter what.
Which basically her ability states you get +1 damage when you put a card face down. So it's already at 3 damage already with her ability. When you stack one going face down in your stage.
Early in this game, this probably helps you build more. Later on in the game, this says pick up attacks.
Yeah, yes it does.
So that card itself, because people already use the chase kind of ultra rare. And honestly, if you're playing any gauge based character or character building character, you're probably trying to play that card under those symbols.
I agree.
So that card's going to be everywhere. It's a 4/2. The 2 check doesn't really mean a lot for it. The 4 difficulty means you can slam it on turn 2 easily.
Yeah.
It's just incredibly good. I know Tim Keefe. I was so surprised when I saw Moonflare as a 4 in his deck. I didn't think that card was going to see that much play, but I guess it has enough stats as a 5 diff that people actually really like it.
Well, you have to think if you hit if you hit it, if you do at least 5, if you're able to get it to 10 damage, and at least if they partial block it, and you had like 2, say you have 2 Slinka 2 stacked, they're taking 5 extra on top of that. Like,
right. So like, I guess I see that. I guess it was more like if they get cloggy in hand. I guess I wasn't sure.
I could see that.
And it helps that it's 4 base speed with stun 2 on it. And his block is okay. I was just surprised when I saw that he was running 4 of it. I don't think that card's going to see much play in any other character kind of aside from her, because she benefits from her 2 dots count as 2 kind of thing. Obviously, the set made Iron Knuckle incredibly good in all these characters that work, not just in Solinka, but we'll talk about Turnaloose as well under air.
That card's dumb.
Or Remulus as well.
Yeah.
Or Remos, that's true. I was playing it in her.
I do know that Kieran Soul. I'm gonna touch off on older decks real quick. Kieran Soul really is the only card really on her. Wishing Ward and Purifying War. I guess Wishing Ward and Kieran Soul were the really 2 standouts in her kit that I would add into older decks, because they're not gated. They don't have the gauge like flair with it like Purifying Roar does. But Kieran Soul always is going to be -1 speed. If you block it, it deals no damage.
Right. I like it's a new oath. The cost of the new oath is that it doesn't have a block, which I think is very fair because it also helps with the minus speed. It says -1 in any character that doesn't stack, but I like to think of it as -2 because normally other effects that give minus speed might have commit costs. And the fact is that you can also play this card in 2 symbols that share with one of the better speed hate cards in the game from Soul Calibur, which is Guardian of the Spirit Sword. So usually pairing those 2 cards kind of together is also just incredibly strong. I would agree with that. I think Wishing Ward is an incredibly good spam foundation for all of those symbols. I think that itself is why it's going to be C play.
And it's momentum. It's momentum and discard hate at the same time. Yeah, sure. Right. If you discard, if you're not a gauge character, you just draw 1, but still discard 1 to draw 1 isn't bad.
Well, and it's also quite good in any fire deck that's filling up its own
discard pile. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. I would definitely play that for sure. I know that the momentum hate. I'm gonna reference at the Kenosha PTC, the Kenosha premiere event. I was playing against Woodman. He would use Wishing Ward immediately every time because I'd always have like 1 or 2 momentum, and he would just he was getting cards out of his discard pile sometimes too. So he was filling his discard and whatever, but he was just getting rid of my momentum because he doesn't want my nutcrackers to get super fast, which I don't want.
I would say the last thing I would really want to say about this is that I think the only reason why I wouldn't put Solinka at an incredibly high tier character, I think she's very strong. I wouldn't put her in an incredibly high tier character because she does run out of gas if you don't see enough cards. But obviously Tim Keefe fixed that problem by putting in 3 White Houses, which synergize with her incredibly well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think
this is a bad foundation. Let's just put it face down and see if we can get something better.
Or what I thought the biggest downside of his deck was going to be is like, man, almost all of these foundations are 2 diffs, and so building 4 is not exactly the easiest to do on your opening turn. She herself, as a Solinka 1 dot, can fix that issue. You can turn these two diff foundations that you necessarily can't build all the time. Or especially like Dark Side of Karma, that card's incredibly good, but it is a 3 diff. She says that I don't need to build them all. One of them's going to be a face down, and it has a great block on it too. So so she turns that weakness, and then with the use of White House becomes a 7-hander. And I think because of that, this kind of build that we see from Tim Keefe, I think is the build that a lot of people are going to hold to really close. Under fire, with the characters stacking synergy with stuff like from Heidi, and I think this is the meta deck that we're going to see with obviously different tweaks from people to people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sure.
But I think the deck, the best part about this deck too, if we want to talk about like meta wise and how many we might see even like at a major event, is this deck is incredibly cheap to build.
Yes, it is.
Almost all the attacks are commons and uncommons except for Dispelling Horn and Moon Ritual Dance. White House is honestly very expensive.
But again,
radius are rare. Characters you can get, White Houses, or maybe are a little harder to get by. Overly Dramatic was already a chase rare. Goro's Victory Pose already a chase rare. Guardian of the Spirit Sword already a chase rare. Like all these cards are ones that people already kind of want to get a hold of. I just think aside from all rares, your Moon Ritual. So I think
Okay.
that's really good for the deck.
All right.
Yep.
Should we move on to Al Wisniewski, or Turn Loose, as people have been calling it?
Yes.
So.
Hours new smile. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Turn Loose.
because side note, Mark Wisniewski, he told me that Turn Loose looks like his dad. So
Okay.
so now I just call him Al Wisniewski now.
Turn Loose. I was incredibly surprised that this deck was under air. Not because I think air is bad, but because I didn't think. I thought people would prioritize Allurophobia and Evil over Iron Knuckle under air.
Sure.
So I thought that was kind of weird, but Will Howard got third place with this deck. Having access to Bang is very good,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Also playing Irradiate, because that card immediately at the beginning of the game with Turn Loose says pick up a 4-diff attack if you want to play it.
Oh, that's what that card does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iron Knuckle incredibly good in the beginning of the game, and then you give it more damage. I think Lightning Spike is crazy good. And Nether Storm is just really good in him.
Yeah,
So,
Nether Storm, you're not blocking.
yeah. And then I can definitely see this deck at the beginning of the game. If you're playing, this deck is incredibly aggressive and incredibly fast, is what I think of it as. Which is why there's 4 push to limits in it. Why there's 2 God of Thunders. Like he can kill you with very few foundations.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as long as he's hacking your check enough, you probably won't make it very quickly. I don't. What did he lose to? Oh, he lost to the first place. Okay.
Yeah, he lost. Yeah, he lost to Scott.
Yeah. So I guess Iron Knuckle is the same kind of deal.
I mean, 8 high, 8 turn 1. If you're feeling a little gutsy, is not a bad move.
8 high 12.
Yeah, true.
If you really want to go, yeah.
Yeah, you get rid of a character right off the bat like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to, I guess. I think his deck is incredibly very straightforward. Again, I guess I was just more surprised that it wasn't under Evil, because I thought Evil was going to be a better, can play mid-range.
I
can
know
also play aggressive.
Rob took the Evil version. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think they had. I know there was 3 Turn Looses, I believe, and Will beat them out on diversity. So obviously,
Gotcha.
so.
Well, and the one small issue with the Evil Turn Loose is that Cats isn't such an amazing turn 1 or turn 2 play, just because it's very, very blockable.
Yeah, it wasn't so much for that. Is the fact is that with Turn Loose's effects, if you play so let's say Lightning Spike, I think Lightning Spike is his best opener, right? Or you do Nether Storm, so that they ignore. The thing is you can use the first character card, and if you have a gauge attack, you can kick it or you can move it back, basically, especially under air, because I think you can really kind of do stuff like that. And then when you go back to 4, if they don't block the first one or they don't fix their check, because you find a 2-dot, basically, or you hack their checks, right? It means that even though the Allurophobia is very slow, the minus to your checks stack up if they don't get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest perk to him over characters like Akuma 2-dot, for example. Akuma is right here, right now on the responses, whereas Turn Loose's can stack.
Yeah.
And
I know that's what Rob was playing off of, and then he would play Call of the Dreamlands to further hack their check on blocks with Allurophobia. So it may be only 3 speed, but it's still going to kill you for 40-something damage because you can't block it. So.
Right. So that's the deck I guess I thought more people were going to play, because I think Discord was also talking about Cats and Turn Loose.
Yeah, they always talk about Cats. Yeah.
But I was very excited to see him on air, because I actually built my Turn Loose deck under air as well.
Sure.
So I think it was very good.
I would like to give him a run off of Earth, because then he gets access to defensive tools like Karma, Spirit Sword, some stuff like that. So and he could play more of instead of playing the gauge package, you could play a throw package and just stack 4 damage on everything.
Oh yeah.
It's true. You could do
that, and then maybe mix in some another Storm or Lightning Spike somehow to get your character cards back, and then you can you could play into the Siegfried flip mechanics a bit, and then you can, maybe play a Requiem and add more damage. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting into meme territory, but
no, it's good.
I don't know.
I think the sum it up is that I think Turnerloose will constantly still see play.
Yeah.
I think the biggest
for
perk
sure.
is that he's a 7-hander by himself. He's a 720 on top of that.
Mhm.
And so
And he
has
starts
vitality.
stacked, so you don't have to worry about finding your guys. He starts stacked.
He starts stacked, so he gets all the benefits from anything along the lines.
Yep.
Because he starts stacked, just like at a 9, you can build a 59 card deck and it becomes 56. So you can build a more consistent, aggressive deck, which I think he excels at. Because, like you said, unless you see the 2 dots and you get them built, he runs out of gas.
And his art's really sick. Like all of his, I'm sorry, all the art in the set looks sick, but hit the coloration on the purple and like the reds, and
cards in his kit wise, his rare foundation, the 2 difficulty 4th check.
Immortality.
Immortality.
I think that card's pretty good. I think that card's really good because what is it? Destroy.
No, it's discard, commit, discard 2 cards, add 1 character card from your discard pile to your hand or card pool. Flip, if you block this attack with a character card, it deals no damage, playable while committed. It's a 2/4 +2 mid block. It's still in the vein of the character. You have to have characters in your deck to do it. So a lot of maybe like the older decks may not play it, but it's definitely along the lines of the Gauge people will definitely play this card if they can.
Right. So the reason why I like that is because I think it gives really good benefits to, let's say, like older character stackers, like you were talking about. I haven't tried Gemini 2 dot in a while, especially because now he's rotated, right?
Yeah. It also works with Heidi.
Gemini 2 is not rotated, but because he's 3. I don't remember. Anyway, Gemini 2 dot can not only play cards that he has under 2 of his symbols.
Oh, dude, he can multiple Netherstorm.
He can multiple any of his cards.
Yeah.
And the fact is that Gemini is a character that is blocking with character cards.
Yeah.
And so that card is a 2/4 playable while committed flip to Amphibiophobia, which we just lost.
Yep.
I think that is really good. Remulus loves this under air.
Yeah.
I even think that some people's fun casual Quan Chis will like that card.
Oh, sure. Yeah, with under evil and blocking with them, absolutely.
Yep.
So I think that card is good in specific cases. His spam foundation, the 0/5 with a 3 mid block.
That card's great.
Enhance, flip, playable while committed.
Is that Hell's Reach?
It's Hell's Reach. And then his other uncommon foundation, Evil Eye. It's a new speed reset, which is
that's right.
It's so dumb. And it's playable while committed, and it has a +2 high block on it. The other E is remove 1 character card from your hand or card pool to draw a card. So it's not horrible. I don't know how often you're gonna want to get rid of your characters out of your hand, but I guess if you want to clear a card pool or you need to draw a card in a pinch, I guess you can do that. But that flip returns attack to its printed speed. That's the real cheese right there, man.
It's honestly a power creep, different blocked Loyal Servant. Obviously, Loyal Servant has the Deadlock enhance, which in some scenarios that's what you want for that kind of deck under Earth, especially because they share the same symbol. But if you're playing the character cards, that card's just better, and because it's playable while committed. So I totally agree with that. His spam foundation, going back to it for a little bit. I think that card is very good because air spam foundations really kind of blow.
Whoa! Don't forget about Power Cycle, my friend. When we get to it.
No, I'm talking about zero diffs.
Oh, zero diffs. Oh yeah, they blow. Yeah, they suck.
Sorry, because Push the Limit was the biggest one for air, and that card's just not good anymore. It's just a low block nowadays.
Yeah, it's just a low block.
Earth zero diffs are
Push the Limit.
Also Push the Limit.
Or also Push the Limit, yeah. But I Push the Limit can go into some decks because Siegfried would play it because he wants to flip your opponent's board. So it depends on your character, I guess, because Siegfried does want your character's board flipped. So that is a good card for him.
It definitely competes with a lot more zero diffs in Evil. If you're not playing a desperation based character,
I don't know. Wouldn't you want to play a 0/6 with a +3 mid that gains you 1 if you're in desperation if you're a 7-hander?
Not if my deck is super aggressive and
I guess so. Yeah, I guess you're right.
So there are debates. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so it's just stuff like that. He's very good. I think we're gonna see a lot of him. His card support's a little more specific to him though. So I think it's a little harder.
All right.
And then just moving on to the first place deck.
Yeah.
Dijonette.
Janet.
Janet.
I just call her
whatever.
Janet. I don't call her Dijanet.
Janet.
To Janet. I just call her Janet.
Under all, of course, because that symbol won nationals, because it's so good.
Yeah, some struggle.
I mean, it's an okay symbol.
This deck is, or Dijanet in general, is abuse momentum deck. You get a free one every turn in her.
Yep.
So I think that itself.
Well, I mean, it's not free. It still has a cost.
Yeah. I mean, it does, but
it's snap momentum at any turn you want.
She also just starts the game with one for free.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
It is snap momentum whenever you want it by discarding a card. And guess what symbol draws a bunch of cards? All. So that cost doesn't really matter as much. Nutcracker's in here, obviously. That's what I thought. It was like, I looked at her and I was like, she's going to be really good because she's a 7-hander. And her effect is incredibly strong.
Mm-hmm.
I thought what was going to bring her down is that she doesn't have like kill pressure in her character card.
Yeah.
So she has to have kill pressure in her cards. And that's exactly what Scott did with this deck. Putting Flying Yamato Spear in it was a brilliant idea because that thing hits really hard.
That card's still relevant, kids. That card is still relevant.
Nutcracker hits really hard by itself.
Yep.
I mean, I like the way he described it. It's just all good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I think that's really good because Cassie can't always not like alternatively just play all the good all cards because she has a mechanic that she wants to do in her deck.
Very true.
And you look at the foundations and you're like, this is just every good all foundation that exists right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the attacks and you're like, here's some synergy with my character and then the good all attacks. And you're right. And that's what the deck is. And then it just plays a really good 7-hander that does it well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting. I thought Dijanet was going to excel like under Evil. I thought people were going to do some hand hacky stuff under Void, and then Scott won with this in first place, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty neat to see because I know a lot of people are. I know we have Trent here is playing her off of Evil, and he's kind of mixed it around a bit because he wasn't happy with his first build, so he's changing some cards around. But it's just like a fun deck, so he's not really trying.
Right.
You know, he's not. It's just to shoot the shit with. But before we get into like deep into her kit, though, Affliction, my friends, with Cassie Cage.
The 3-diff one.
Oh God, so Kenosha, I drew so many cards off of that. I would be like, oh look, I drew on revealed like a top 3, put the Nutcracker on top, name Nutcracker, draw that Nutcracker. You know, and if you have momentum, it's another momentum dump for her. Because if you don't have, you got Nutcracker EX. If you're playing that, what's Ed and Ein's
Hacker Extraordinaire.
If you're not playing that, this is another way to just get rid of your momentum if you need, to plus your hand size and all that. And she can make up for the crappy stats on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I usually just tack damage onto it and it hit people. So
yeah, she makes 3 diffs. With low stats, she obviously buffs it with its benefits. Yep. I totally agree with that. I think her kit itself is okay.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. I think Spell Circle is like one of those, you basically auto-include it in any deck with Void or any character with Void kind of thing.
Sure.
Which I think is, I don't know. I don't think the card's that crazy, but that's what it seems like people are doing because the card feels very free for momentum. Like you get to play this action card instead of like a fatality and has a better check kind of thing. Like
I actually think like Affliction and Profane Sanctuary are probably like the only 2 cards that I'll see outside of her played. Yeah. Personally.
I think Profane Sanctuary is very good for the 0 diff and its effect is not useless because there are
there are tons of Breaker. There's a lot of Breaker.
Breaker is relevant and people are stacking their decks with a ton of stuff. Like, just look at this deck.
Also take a look at like we've been talking, Cassie Cage. You can once she reveals, you're like, oh man, you're gonna draw a bunch of cards. Nope, let's get those attacks that you're about to draw off the top.
Yeah. So it's obviously really good. I think for that reason, it's a high block, which is good. I think for Void, it's very good. I think for Evil, again, it competes with a bunch of other 0 diffs. And then under all, it's probably the best 0 diff we got.
I think.
I mean, certainly her worst foundation is Dominion over Earth. I do think Leylines has a possibility to see play in decks that are running a lot of EX attacks.
Oh sure. I pulled so many of those cards. I'm tired of seeing ley lines. I just know I'm gonna pull a ley line every time I open packs.
I mean, you're gonna eventually see ley lines in the Scorpion decks. It's just gonna happen. Making a from hell a
EX4
minimum EX4.
Yeah.
if not an EX5, if you have 2 of these out. I just think you're gonna see it happen.
It actually,
Yeah.
the R commit's not horrible because if you do play like it, you get to sculpt, the top 2 and draw, I guess. So it's not horrible. So it's not
You
bad.
get rid of that from hell on top of your deck.
Or you draw, you just draw it because that's what it says.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I'm
place where they
saying.
want to draw a card.
Oh,
yeah.
And it has a low block too, so it's not bad. It's not a bad card by any means. It's just
The biggest synergy
gimmicky.
with ley lines is you can play the Remoless Foundation. Under
oh
all that you can sack it off to use an EX ability, and
Yeah.
that says you synergize. I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. I haven't
neat.
seen I haven't seen them make a lot of EX synergy, so it's kind of cool. Just like
Mhm.
within the set. I think the character itself is incredibly good. I don't know about her support necessarily, but I think what we saw, what Scott made, I think you'll see across every symbol that she has, not just this deck. So I think she'll
Yeah.
still see play,
I
and
think
then
so.
we'll just kind of see what symbol takes over for her. Not including the characters that the characters that we missed. I guess we'll just go in order.
Sure.
Eugenia.
Yep.
I don't know what anybody's doing with this character right now. It's so hard
I don't
to
know either.
see where she'll be in the meta because she's so reliant on what she plays against.
Very true.
Um,
Very true. I actually,
I've been trying to build her, and my issue is trying to figure out exactly what route I want to go. I think once people kind of just settle down and say, all right, let's stop at the memes, let's stop, think about these, what crazy interactions can we wonder what the rulings are going to be like. Let's just get down to brass tacks, see what we want to do with her, and really just, I think she's decent, and I think she's the first chaos character that feels like chaotic.
Chaosy? Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
Um,
Or I don't know. That is
she
fair.
does-
in a long time.
She
Yeah,
does
that
have
is
she does have a kind of weird synergy with Taki because Taki has 3 speed moves, so you could
Yeah.
kind of fit like a fog blanket in there because it combos off of 3 speed. So like you could go color spray or absinthe arrow, and then you can kind of make your card pool a little clean with some stun in there, copy your opponent's enhances or whatever. I don't know. We have Nathan Haffey here in town's playing Eugenia. I didn't get to play against him last week, but yeah, I think he's just trying to play all. Like he started off with Void, and now he's moving into Water. So I'm not sure where he's going. We'll see it tomorrow.
It's interesting too
locals.
because like I look at this character and I think I'm like, okay, what's the on paper her 1 dot? What does she do? I'm like, all right, so she's a 7-hand size Vincent Gray that doesn't build a ton of foundations, but she can play a mill deck.
Yeah.
And at the same time of milling your opponent, you can use aggressive abilities and make your opponent deal with them.
Yeah.
So under Chaos, you get all of Nightmare support if you want to turbo mill. And then under Water, you get very good control tools. So if you want to do that kind of route. And then if you want to focus on the copying enhances kind of stuff like that, you have to kind of like use a bunch of her synergy, right? But I think the fact is that she can also return her stuff back to printed speed or damage whenever she wants.
Yeah.
Be like changing zones as well, which is a very chaos effect. So like I like that from the 2-dot.
Yep.
Of her actual card support, I think Wearlight is just good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be her best card in her support. That can be played. That's not like synergized to her.
Yeah, 100%. I think the E flip on it, which again, if we figure out all the rulings, which I think we know most of them though, is you can basically force your opponent to pass.
Yeah.
And even if you don't force them to pass, you can still like make them use a once per turn kind of effect, and then you get rid of it on some garbage. And then E, your attack, commit, kick anything you want from your opponent's card pool is crazy good because we have stuff like hand cannon that exists, you can get rid of them. Things like Woodman's Leaf Shield you can get rid of.
Prepare to fight,
things
so that if you play multiples, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Prepare to fight.
Yep.
It's just a really useful utility foundation.
Right.
Like I could see some Cat's Cradle being played if your decks are based off like a Fury lineup because they can give speed or minus speed. There are a lot of Fury attacks
Hey,
nowadays.
Sasha.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Oh, look at that random
character's
Sasha,
trash.
Sasha support.
Cat's Cradle's her best foundation if you're doing the copying enhance thing.
Yeah.
She said that card says flip it over, get rid of some garbage, pick any card in your opponent's deck and use an ability on it, basically.
Yeah, very true.
So like that's why this card's crazy. But like, if you're not doing that mechanic, it's just really hard. Queen of Hearts is a free discard. I know a lot of people are trying to use this card right now. The 7 diff, I don't know if that'll make it
I
good
know
enough.
that. I think that was in Ben's Akuma deck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because he was playing a void discard Akuma.
I have it up. I guess I can.
Because that would be 2 cards.
It is.
He was playing 4 Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that would, because that's what you use that, and then you use Power to Connect Realms. You just get 2 cards out for one attack. That's pretty sick.
And draw a card.
Yeah, and draw a card.
I didn't realize because it has powerful 1 for some reason.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Her other ability, or her other cards, I should say.
Like Absinthe Arrow is really good in draft because you can just mill everybody with it. But yeah, that's, I don't know if that actually means anything outside of that. But yeah, like Plot Hook.
Yeah, but I think she becomes a very good mill character, to be honest. And I think if people kind of figure out a good way to mill your opponent, as well as just playing a good 7-hander with a good built deck, I think she'll have a place in the meta, because I think mill decks always have a place. But other than that, I think she's pretty base. And I think that's why we haven't seen much of her herself. But her cards are very interesting. I think people are trying to play around with them.
True.
Moving on to Joffrey.
Yeah, Joffrey. Your boy, Joffrey.
I'm super excited for this guy because I really think he's going to be the deck that I fall in love with in this set. I guess thing I wanted to point out, I've been building all these characters, and every single one I've built, although the decks have been good, I'm playing them against my Cassie deck, and I'm not finding any deck that just matches its power level from the new set of characters. I built Ed and 9 using the new stuff, and that could take a few games, but it couldn't take matches. And so, like, that was getting to that point. But I think Joffrey might actually be the character when everybody slows down for a bit and builds like a good mid-rangey kind of deck. I think he's going to run that meta. The problem is just getting there.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, I don't know. Getting rid of a free attack, if you can get rid of all the cards in your hand, is pretty good, though.
Yeah. He also has some neat, some of his cards are actually very playable outside of him, like Solemn Exorcism or Bastion Stance. Being able to seal a foundation is sick, especially if it may be only symbol locked, but you get to seal an opponent's, like, face of a monster, or maybe they're playing Cage Fighter, or whatever.
Yeah, my problem with Bastion Stance is that we also have Sealer of Evil under 2 of these symbols.
Oh, that's true.
And it's a 2/5 with a mid block as well.
That commits.
Oh, that's true.
This just flips.
So,
yeah.
I guess.
I'm saying it's more reusable, and it commits and seals a foundation.
Oh yeah,
that's evil. So it's like
that's true.
Just more powerful for that ability.
Yeah, but its other ability, add this card to your card pool, your opponent adds one of their committed foundations to the card pool. It can work. It does disrupt combos. Yep. I don't know if Bastion Stance is that good.
I do think Solemn Exorcism is pretty decent, especially with all the weapon techs that came out from Soul Calibur.
Yep.
And
it's all right.
Being able to draw cards is pretty decent.
Yeah, if you have no hand, yeah. Especially if it's a last ditch effort, sure. Other than that, I know that
there's just not a lot to say about Joffrey.
Yeah, it's not very flashy. I think that's the character though. He's solid, he's not overpowered, he's not underpowered, he's just solid.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is like, because I plan on building Joffrey, not necessarily using a ton of his support, but just using his symbols and using his kind of game plan and figuring out the best way to use that mechanic.
Sure.
But I agree. So I think that's why people necessarily haven't started bringing him out, and I don't think they will until they figure out what's the best way to do it.
Sure.
Right. Because he definitely takes a lot more play testing and figuring out.
Yeah, I think it's with a lot of the characters too. Other than the easy ones, they're the Solenka, the Turn Loose, Remless to some extent.
Zolt, I think is also Zolt. We'll get there. He's in that same category. Moving on, we have Remless. I was very surprised that we didn't see a Remless either top, and I don't even think there were that many at the actual event.
There were, I think, 2.
Yeah. I've already tried her out twice in 2 different symbols, and they were not the ones that I liked. Okay. I tried her under air and I tried her under fire, and I just don't think they're her symbols. They can do really cool things, but I think she needs a lot more hand gas and I think all is the only way to really get that.
Oh man, I don't know. I love that fire list.
Which one?
Just fire. I love
Oh,
her on
okay.
fire.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I think all of her cards are crazy strong. I think consumption can just wins you games. Irradiate, obviously, that we've seen from these other deck lists are being used in these other characters because Irradiate turns any character stacker into. If I get a bunch of them, I can pick up. This is a free attack.
Yeah.
It helps that it gets a damage buff itself, and Remulus obviously benefits the most from it. Power Cycle is crazy, and not just her, but and other people.
Yeah.
Initiate Launch is a really good, like, I want to call it like Tijuana Groceries-esque
with a block.
card.
Yeah.
With a block.
I mean, look, between Initiate Launch, Tijuana Groceries, and Wandering Pirate,
God of Thunder,
Air can completely ready its entire staging area
for sure.
after tapping out twice.
My favorite thing in her was I played Bridging the Races because I kind of did my like Gemini Man 2 dot thing that I did because she's constantly moving character cards in and out of her staging area. You can constantly ready Bridging the Race. Like under Air, she was really cool, but if you didn't see attacks, she was not that good, and she was still a 5-hander at the beginning of your turn, and so it was just really kind of so that's why I didn't like her so much. Power Cycle is being used pretty much anywhere. It adds anything you want.
Yes.
So under Air, I see people making multiple decks and they're just throwing in windmill punches. Under Air, it also gives you a insect puppeteer kind of effect to put in defensive hand cannons.
Oh, sure.
And the problem with that one is you have to be playing like a reversal on them. What I'm seeing people is I've seen like Air Zhonghua builds now where you block something, play a free attack, and if that's not like a hand cannon, so you want to disrupt your opponent's turn, you can shove one in because it has to be your attack. Zhonghua I think really benefits a lot from this card, and she didn't really need help.
We don't need to get to the Shadow Inheritance Power Cycle
shenanigans
either. That's just stupid. That is just dumb. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So
offensively and defensively, my friends, you can use that card. You can shove in your Burning with Revenges and either not bring your Burning with Revenges down, or you can just use it to make their checks harder. It's very good.
So she has really good stuff there. Her other attacks.
I mean, Jackie can play Napalm Stream if you want. You know, it's not hard.
This is true.
It is attack.
I think. Go ahead. You talk about.
I don't think it's that card or that good.
I think it's pretty hot in like draft. But
Caustic Vent? Yeah, I had 10 of those in the deck. It was sick.
Oh man, but like I don't know, dude. Like it's just not a good attack.
I see it and I'm like, I think if I'm playing and I want to draw a bunch of cards, I'm playing Akimbo in Foundations that don't count and stuff like that, right? Or if I want to, I don't know. It's just, and it has to combo with something. It comes with I just don't think it's good enough. I think Irradiate is good. Consumption is good in her and other small hand-sized characters.
Napalm Stream seems okay.
Yes, I think Napalm Stream is okay because you can just gain 2 momentum, or it says add a card to your hand if you already have momentum.
But I don't really think it's very good in her.
I agree. So I think other than that, I think her stuff's good. Power Cycle's going everywhere. Initiate Launch is another card you can play. Radiation I don't think is good enough. It gives some lower hand-sized characters a little bit more gas, but you have to get it to your card pool.
Yeah.
So.
True.
Yeah.
And if you're playing Power Cycle, you're not shoving that in.
No, you're not.
So I think that's pretty good.
Taisei! Poor Taisei.
I think his cards are great. I don't know if the character's good enough.
I would agree. I think his cards are hot fire. Like
maybe that's probably why his cards are so good, because that character isn't that great.
Ashen Claws is
real sweet.
Yeah, that card's really good.
That card feels so free. Because it's a 0 high block at worst case scenario, and it says keep a piece down because it freezes it, and all for 4 diff. And it has a deadlock in hand. So like it has a good early effect, it has a good mid range effect, and it has a incredible good deadlock enhance if you're neat because it gives you free stuff.
Yep.
I love scissors.
Scissors. Yeah, scissors is his
Chaos
best
Scissors
attack,
is
man.
incredible.
Yeah.
I'll tell you here though. I think one of the best cards that Taisei brings to Standard is Demon Hide.
Yeah, that card's really good. Yeah.
Is that the free
That's the
block
one.
thing?
No, it's the
No,
1/5
no.
flip. It loses gauge and it can't gain keywords.
Oh,
So
yeah. That's the
is
number one
going to
card
be.
in this kit.
It is going to be the reason why we start seeing Death, Life, and or Order decks start to top again, because they're going to say, you know what, I don't care if you have High Seas Venture down, I can fight through it because your High Seas don't mean nothing to me.
Right. I think it's because it's just flip cost. It's on a 1 difficulty 2 high block 5 check. Like it's crazy good stat wise. I totally agree. In the control death decks, it's going to be used as a control piece or as a piece to save your attacks, just like you said.
And this shit's all over Coffee Samba now too. So you don't have
absolutely.
Yeah, Coffee Samba is gonna maybe not see as much play as it does now, even though it kind of has fallen off a bit. But this basically may be that nail in the coffin on it, to where it's just like, well, you're gonna try to play Coffee Samba on me. It can't gain multiple and stun, but thanks for letting me draw cards if you do it.
Right.
You know?
I was just it's honestly not even just that, but it's really good against what's the other one? Moonset. That card is
Moonset.
still
Yeah.
play. That card is still relevant. It can't get powerful, which means the card is not as strong.
Yep.
I agree. I think it's the best card in the set meta-wise, just because it will be a reason why these symbols will see play. I think another card in his kit, the Nightmare Tears, is another really good card for the meta right now, because it's like everybody was already talking about that we wanted an effect like this, and they gave it to us.
Yeah.
And they gave it to symbols that they gave it to 2 symbols that didn't really have versions of them either.
Yep.
Order had Cool and Focused, which was still worse than Flame Aura because it resets it. It doesn't turn it to 0. And then under Death, you can get this and Flame Aura, so that's really neat.
Yeah.
I also I love it for just building. Filling it, and then, oh man, okay, I can't push stuff through, but maybe I can now if I just make you commit and freeze. I mean, especially for those decks that are playing Foundation Light, like Zhenghua has been, or Killik wants to, committing and freezing their Foundation for a flip effect is just so solid.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I love it too because it feels like a unique foundation that you actually are okay playing 4 copies of.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Because it's a flip cost, which means you can play more of them if you see more of them. And if you have them in your hand that you're planning to block with, but you don't need to, you can then rebuild them. Like it's I actually am just putting this as a 3 or a 4 of in like almost all these symbols just because I agree.
Absolutely.
Demon Hide great though. This covers the other block round. Edge of Death is not unplayable. It's just it's like another damage resetting kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
I think I throw like 1 into.
I also like how
these symbols.
Death has with Yoshimitsu's cards. It now punishes people for wanting to be in desperation now. So Death has like this subset of cards. It's like, well, if you're gonna go into desperation, I got tech for you, you know. So
So and like, that's kind of cool. It's definitely the least playable of his foundations, where it's like the other ones are great. Dust to Dust, I actually think is okay as well for character stackers. That's really good.
But I also really like the damage reduction ability on Edge of Death.
Yeah, it's just solid. Like my problem is like if you're playing Order, you're probably already playing Refusing to Let Go, which can do the same effect and
multiple times. Maybe
and also like nullifies multiple.
But for Life or Death, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely a slightly stronger effect as like Survivalist, but Survivalist is Commit instead, and this is Remove. So like they have their places.
Yep.
So I totally agree. Moving on to Zolt, and I think he's the last one.
Yeah. Then we got back page stuff. We want to talk about
exactly. Zolt, I think, is another one of those characters that we were talking about. How like I think there was one at the event. For sure.
Yeah, there was. There was. I think so.
The auto go-to deck that even I built a version of it is under Chaos.
With
just
Shoki.
Because Shoki Gosen is free in him.
Yep.
It's a 3 diff, so you can just slam it.
I played against one in the Kenosha event, and he had slide shots in his deck. I thought that was some of the cool shit because he would slide shots, multiple, flip stuff to kick the multiples so he can play another card and then attack some more. It was, even though his multiples don't count towards progressive, but he was just being able to clear his pool and make things that if he had to play like face-ups or something, he was just kicking stuff just to flip. So it was kind of neat. He didn't have all of the showkeys he needed, so that kind of made it a little easier on me. I didn't have to worry about getting blown up on turn 1 by showkeys, but man.
Having played my deck, Fanatical Purification is very strong, very good, especially in the beginning of the game. Blaze of Fervor is incredibly good.
I think that's his best card.
Yeah, I think it is too. I don't think Cross Up is that good. No. Whip Crack is okay.
Yeah.
And then Shoki stands out. Yeah. And I'm playing Sadistic Waves in my deck as a 2-of as well, because it could give you momentum to use for other things.
Sure.
So I like that.
I see Fatal. I think Fatal Eye maybe. Well, I think Gunblaze will see more play outside of gauge decks, just because it's getting minus gauge stuff. But a lot of his cards, I don't really see being played outside of.
I think Wild Hunt will be played in any deck that wants to do multiple stuff, because it's a free extra foundation.
That's true.
The dealing 1 exact damage doesn't really matter, I don't think, but the static on it
could be, yeah.
It's good. It's crazy in him.
Yeah.
But Fatal Eye is like Lord Raptor's thing, but for character stackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Showtime, but for character stackers.
Yep.
So that's always nice. It gave me, because I'm playing Fatal Eye on him, it gave me a reason to play extra 1-dots in the deck. Because like once you hit, I'm playing Zolt, if you hit your base character and then 4 of the 2-dots, that's usually about all you need to win a game.
Yeah.
But then it means any extra 1-dots become cancellation abilities, which I think is pretty good.
I think what his major weakness is the fact that people know that he can't do any more than 1 with his multiples, so they're just going to block his face-up attacks if they can. And that's good. And that's the biggest weakness he got. And that's why, like, when you're playing Ancestral Quiver.
I'm also playing Soul Edge
to give stun, so it's just like it makes it a little easier to push through your face-ups.
Yeah, so the reason why Ancestral Quiver is so good is because like, and I'm playing like Snap Momentum stuff, so like I'm playing Hunters once more and just ways to get these free momentums, because you play Ancestral Quiver, discard the momentum, it gives +1 to your checks, so you will now pass every single Zolt check of 4, no matter what. And then you play your first attack, which is not your kill, your good one, and you're just like, listen, you can block this, I don't really care. I'm probably gonna stun 10 you right now. And then at that, it's just like you have to block everything else.
I can tell you this now. In one of our future Versus Series matches, I'm playing Cassie against Aaron's Zolt deck, and he plays Blaze of Fervor, and he multiple 7s me, and I only have 2 cards in hand, and I die by getting pinged to death at 6 health. Yep. And it was just like, I was like,
The card's also just free checks. Yeah. I hate it because I always mill mine for my multiple effects. I never get to see mine.
But yeah, Blaze of Fervor is dead. Blaze of Fervor is his best attack by far. It's
meme so stuff. If you love older stuff, is Astro Crushing him is really good.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
I think that card's really good just because it's
free build.
Later in the game, it does stuff. Early in the game, it builds you free stuff.
Yeah.
So I really like that in him. I think, like we were talking about earlier, I think this character is really easy to just like throw together and go because of the Chaos version.
Sure.
But he does have a bunch of counters, and I think people are just kind of afraid to really go for it.
Yeah. Hand cannon still stops him. He's afraid to see Taki, because
I mean, I don't know. Like hand cannon is not a big issue because I'm playing Werelight.
Oh sure,
His own 6 diff doesn't care about it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's for sure. But like, if you don't have that 6 diff or a way to deal with it, then you're kind of hosed for a turn. But
for sure.
But it isn't everybody though if you can't get rid of it. So
I do want to talk about Wild Hunt one more time.
Sure, go ahead.
Gosh, I can't believe I've mentioned this character 3 times now this evening. But Lily also really likes Wild Hunt.
Does she
Oh,
do
God,
exactly
you're
one,
right.
or just for the face downs?
For the
No,
face downs.
because she can force a face down in your. Oh wait, no, she builds. Never mind.
No, she builds the
I'm
face
bad.
downs. Yeah, it's okay.
I'll
No
tell you
worries.
what. In Legacy,
Never mind.
Ash
Oh, absolutely,
loves this card in Legacy. Jessica.
absolutely.
That's how good Wild Hunt is.
Let's just move on to the back page.
All right,
please.
into set cards. College.
I've already
College
seen.
Lands.
I know that we haven't seen it yet, but Pea Shooter. There's Pea Shooter lists of shooting out there with Ed 9. That was
I died to Ed 9 Pea Shooter last night.
Yeah,
At some casual local stuff.
Ben Lambright played that at the Kenosha PTC. We're still got to play finals, but he got in second with that. That just seems really dirty after pitching your opponent's hand and just dumping a giant attack into him.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I love Withering Toxin. I think Withering Toxin is going to be one of those like anti-meta cards that just all depends on what your opponent's playing, if you side it in or not. I don't know if it's ever going to see main.
I like Withering Toxin because playing it as a reversal really guns your opponent. So like reversal good characters like Zasamel is actually going to love this.
Oh sure,
yeah. But it's also one of those things to where it's like, I think this will take the place of Coffee Samba for what people are trying to play it for. Coffee Samba has so much hate against it now because of keywords and stuff, but people still want to play a card that can like give them some free cards in their hand, right? And I think this card will take that place, specifically for the fact that you play this as your second or third attack, which is pretty easy because it's a 4-diff. You draw maybe 1 or 2 cards and selectively flip one of your opponent's key pieces, and you draw 1 or 2 cards from it. I think that's good enough. I think that really is for a 2 mid block, a 4 high for 4 that gets more speed.
Yep.
I think that will make this card good enough to like figure out a place in the meta somewhere. It's honestly probably my favorite attack. I'm just trying to figure out a way to use it.
I love Firefly Gunner. I just don't have a deck for it yet.
I want to build it. I want to find a home for it. And I think probably the best deck for it is like Kung Jin.
Well, you kind of want to. You also want to make checks during the enhanced step somehow.
Right. Like Mitsurugi's not terrible.
And Mitsurugi isn't.
You can use it in a chaos.
Oh, true.
It's not a weapon, but whatever. You don't need to play it.
But I think
it's a high attack.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to find a home for that.
Mitsurugi, I would say, does it really well, though, because it already has stun on it.
Yeah, and then you can just pump the damage on it, then make it a low, make them get rid of a card, and then you just stun them out and kill them with it.
Yeah, so I think that's already like some really good spots for it.
Yeah, some pretty good stuff.
Dragon's Tongue is the new self-destruct.
Yeah.
Let's throw this as a side. It's an auto sideboard kind of meta card. And like, am I playing against a huge wall deck? Well, this is a 3-check that does what self-destruct does, but you can't cancel it. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think Clockwork...
And it has late game on it because it has Breaker and Powerful 5 on it.
Very true. I think Clockwork Castle may see some play in some sides just because of the Breaker 4, and it's a terrain, so to get rid of like White Houses and some other things that may be more detrimental to
Dragon's Tail, I think, is a free spam if you're looking for it in those 3 symbols. It also has very good synergy with gauge attacks.
Yes.
It's a better version of that Protoman 1 card. Oh gosh.
What was like Fighting for Wily or whatever. Oh, is that the one that... doesn't that give minus damage, though?
No, it was the card that was after your attack is partially blocked, gets +3 damage.
Oh, okay. I get you.
But this one gains your vitality, and I think that one was an enhance.
Eviscerate, I don't think is very good. Cassie Cage doesn't like this card at all, and it has her symbols.
Yeah.
I think
Commander of Outworld's Armies is better than Eviscerate.
Yeah, and I think maybe Siegfried uses it for more flip if you're trying to do a flip thing.
If you're going all in on the flips,
sure. So like because it's a 1.
I mean, it doesn't. I don't think he really needs it because he already adds Foundation to his staging area. So I don't know.
I just meant for the effect.
Well, I think he already has access to so many flip effects that I don't think he's hurting enough to play this.
Okay, so we are now forgetting the best card in the back page, Verdant Slaughter and Nightman. Okay, Don't forget about that, kids.
I think this card, when they showed this card at the end of the set, I already thought this card was going to be good. Forget about Nightman.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nightman.
I know, I had to. Man, there's people who still play him, man.
That guy exists.
This card denies momentum.
Yep.
And it makes your kill turn better.
Yep.
And Liu Kang loves this card.
Oh, God, yes, he does.
Liu Kang loves this card.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not playing Liu Kang, Champion of Combat is still a card.
Yes. Very true.
Hey,
Tim,
and that just
guess
says
who can play those cards really well? Lily.
I love Verdant Slaughter because I think it itself is a really good card, and it shares 2 symbols with my favorite attack in the set, Withering Toxin.
Sure.
So, it makes Withering Toxin good on your turn, and it makes Withering Toxin good on your opponent's turn as well because it...
Oh, that's too bad.
Because, it just means they keep more stuff there, right? It's just... Deadlock Enhance...
Dude, that's sick. That Deadlock Enhance is nuts.
Free. It's so
cool,
free.
Man.
Check a 4 for 2/2 for each card in front of card pool.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If you play Champion of Combat too, and that also has Deadlock Enhance,
you just die. You just die. Symphony of the Deep, I think we'll see some play out in some older decks just because F remove, discard your trash, draw maybe better cards.
Sure.
For your kill
Card
turn?
Destruction got banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a reason.
I think that the commit ability is, super awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, it is. It's very good, too. Yes. Tale of Nine Sorrows.
Hellward Bound. Can we talk about Hellward Bound in Ken 2 Dot? Because that card is real good for him.
As long as you don't have a discard.
Well, not even that. It lets him clear the attacks so that he can keep playing more attacks without a big build.
True.
I mean, that's it's very good as a form. It's very good.
I was trying to see because I think Lord Raptor could fit the conditions very well as well. My problem is that it's an enhanced, so he can't use it.
True. I think Paranormal Investigation's pretty good. The R is actually really good because if you seal an attack, more often than not, all they're gonna have is character or action, and they're not as long as they don't have a lot of enhances on board, I guess, for damage buff on the attack. I think you're pretty safe. It pretty much just goes pseudo flash in a way almost.
I saw this card and I was like, all right, Jetta 2 didn't really need any help, and this card's crazy.
Real good for him.
Yeah.
What's your hand look like? Okay, thanks.
Very
now I know.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oops.
Well, it's mainly because, so it's only used on your opponent's attack, right? Yeah. So if it's Jetta, who already loves blocking, and every time you block, you can shove more momentum, right? And, debuild your opponent.
Oh, yeah.
This card says, what blocks do I need for the rest of your turn? Offer a 2/4/3 mid, and then you're right. The respond remove is still also good.
Yes. Because everything has at least 3 keywords for the most part. Unless you're playing Ivy or Guile.
So, yeah, I saw this card, and I was like, all right, Jetta 2's going to love it, and other characters will be able to use this. So
I was not sad to pull the copies that I got. So
right. And then Tale of Nine Sorrows.
Yeah.
Is cool, but that's about it.
We skipped Call of the Dreamlands. Call of the Dreamlands may be my favorite action in this set out of the 3, I think, just because you can hack blocks with it. And then if, say, you want to play life and you play this, play some foundations, then you go not over yet into a giant attack on turn 1, you can always just do that too.
I love this because in Evil, in characters like Vega, this card is good, and at the same time, so the reason why I like it is because Vega with this card says they can fail on both of them, right? And if they fail the check, Vega doesn't ready, and you give them a card, but you hack it so hard. You don't have to use both, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
And at the same time, in Vega, you're probably playing bad checks because that's usually what those kind of Princess Parries and stuff like that. And the form on it is just very playable in decks that play bad checks.
Sure.
It says guarantee build 4, pretty much, is what I think it basically says.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. So.
My one issue with Call of the Dreamlands, and this isn't it sucks thing. I know that one of the kind of the the theories behind their card design is that check hacking when you know it's going to exist is fine. Check hacking when you don't know it's going to exist.
Oh,
is
like it's a
rough.
hand trap, so you have no idea when it's coming. Sure.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why you see everything that they've done with check hacking recently. You can see it's a possibility. You can see, Vega exists. You can see Ikuma has a card in his card pool. Everything is all right. This can possibly happen, so I can plan for it. This card, however, says, "Well, fuck you."
Well, my another issue with this card that I have.
This is one of the few ones that says that if they also fail it, like you do give them a replacement.
You give them a card, yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm specifically talking about for blocking.
Yeah.
100%. I think you're right. That's why like the offensive potential of this card is incredibly good.
Yes, absolutely.
So like it's in that sense, this is very much the offensive version of Fade.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because Fade doesn't work on blocks.
Yeah.
Whereas like this does.
And it's also real good versus early Dark Chirito aggression.
Yeah.
Because you can say, oh, your Dark Chirito is actually on like a 10.
It shares all revoke symbols, so it's going to be really hard to shove this in a 6-hander. I think 7-handers will have no problem playing this card. I think 6-handers will prioritize revoke over Call of the Dreamlands, though. So.
Obviously, the big caveat is that it's X is characters in your staging area.
Sure. Yeah.
So characters that really really like this one are Dejanette, Turn Loose.
Yep.
Hey,
Taisei can play this.
Taisei can't play it, but I don't know if Taisei needs a lot more help than this card.
Yes, he does. He'd rather play revoke anyways.
Ed and I loves this in Void. I was playing it.
Oh,
and
sure.
then
Eugenia can play this too.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's real good defensive piece probably, or even offensive piece in those pre-stacked new characters.
Oh, sure. The pre-stacked characters,
and that's probably going to be its best home.
Yeah. I got you.
Yep.
Purifying Chime, kind of. It's really the only. It's like other than only defensive versus stack
becomes as good as the character stackers.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. It will always be a 1 mid block with Breaker 2 though.
That clears itself.
And it clears itself, so that's always playable.
Yeah.
So
it's not horrible.
And then Spell Circle, I think, is going to see play in any character with Void.
I actually think you'll see. I think it will be in almost. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see it in any of those symbols. It doesn't matter if they have Void or not because it's snap momentum.
You're right. I think it's also more so like if you draw it, it has that extra effect, right?
Sure.
But I agree. I think in all you'll see it because all is going to draw a bunch of cards, and this says get rid of a crappy card for a free momentum kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then under evil can draw a bunch of cards. So like, it definitely has its place.
Yep.
I just want to see either Faye or Kung Jin decks playing Bug Zapper.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Bug Zapper.
I thought we did a little bit.
No, we talked about
Firefly.
We talked about Firefly.
Oh, that's right. Oh, right. If you make a check, +1 agreement. Yeah.
It's really good in Bromley's Chaos Fae, where he just loads up on momentum.
Like 1 or 2. It's just like a nice, hey, I'm not going to fail this. I don't have to fail a lot.
But it gives Chaos a low block, which it really needs. So. Man.
But again, if you're playing a Kung Jin, you just decide to get that momentum early on. Hey, every turn I have an additional foundation for passing checks.
Yep, you got
effectively,
it.
minimum.
All right,
and it shares 2 symbols with each of them. So
to kind of sum things up too,
go for it, man. We're gonna need to move on to picks soon because we're getting really close to an hour 30. Huh?
Well, I mean, we talked about pretty much every card.
Right. It was one of those things where it's like, that's all the 7th cross stuff. Things to note is that all the characters that have been relevant before with this meta are still relevant. I don't think any of them got weaker. No. And kind of what I said earlier, I'll just reiterate, is just like, as I'm building all these characters, they all are good decks, and they're all good characters. They're good enough for PTCs, obviously, but I'm feeling very iffy on whether I would bring them to like this coming up nationals or something, because I feel like the power of these decks is just not as good as what I was playing last format. And until I kind of improve it otherwise with like another, like just a different version, I think I'm still going to like just be playing Cassie decks or like Jang Quad decks.
So
without without a huge impact from whatever this next set is going to be, I'd agree with that.
Do you think with all these character stackers and some of them are a little slower, I think the meta is actually going to slow down some. We already saw a lot of draws at Worlds and at the previous few PTCs. There has been, I think that the game is starting to slow down just a tad, maybe like a turn and a half, just because of they want
more so to do with these really good foundations that we're seeing. We talked a lot about foundations, and I think all the foundations that we got from this set are really good pieces. I think the biggest perk, obviously, of these character stackers is if you're playing one of the character stackers, you inherently have a bunch of 0 mid blocks in your deck, which are incredibly
strong. Your defense is way better,
Right, but we saw all of like Turnaloose's Speed Hate. We have Taisei's really two incredibly strong defensive foundations. You have things like Power Cycle, which can do things that like Insect Puppeteer can do, but with any card in your deck on your turn, like it's being able to do stuff like that. I think is what's going to slow the game down, and I think it's also that the power level of these attacks aren't the same level because they synergize with character stacking or with these characters, so they need that extra push
because the characters make the attacks scary. The attacks aren't scary in their own right, is what
but that's why a lot of the end of the set ones kind of are because they're by themselves.
I mean, I'd agree with that to a point, although we still have plenty of amazingly powerful attacks in the format. I think, honestly, a lot of probably what happened at Worlds, in my mind, stems from the fact that there wasn't a lot of time with these new cards before we went to a major event, and people just weren't familiar with
you're talking about Soul Calibur. Yeah. Okay.
That's fair.
Cool. Alrighty, moving on, because we're almost to an hour and 30, so kind of want to stay around. We got picks. So attendance, 2 winners, and diversity. If you guys want to know, just to recap, I picked 18, Cassie, Salenka, 1 diversity. Rob picked 28, Turnaloose, Sophitia, and 2 diversity. Scott picked 22, Grow, Jetta 2, and 1 diversity. So we're going to have 2 guests on this one. And so Barrett, current standings are me at 7, you and guest tied at 6, and Rob is at 5. So Rob's carrying the caboose. So
I have 6 points. That's crazy. I think I'm sucking so bad at this.
No, you're not actually. You're only 1 point. You're only 1 point off of me. I just had 1 good week, so that's why I've always been in the lead. So, Tim.
Okay, guess you're the guest.
Tim, attendance.
Attendance. I think Rob's overshooting. I'm gonna Price is Right, Scott. And say 23.
You mean you're gonna go above him 23? Okay.
No, I'm gonna whatever he did plus 1.
Okay,
I think
23.
23 or maybe above is a little bit understandable. I think 28 is way too high.
Okay.
This is Dallas, right?
Yeah, this is Dallas. Yeah. It all depends on how many people from Omaha are going, in my opinion. So.
I guess I have pretty good inside knowledge because I have the Legendary Wolf chat.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna say 26. I think his PDC might be okay.
I picked it low just because it's sandwiched in between some other things. You know, like we just had a PTC a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Well, I know not a lot of the Lubbock guys are going. So it's Texas, so it's kind of far. So you might actually have it be mostly Omaha and Dallas, and maybe a smattering of people from other places.
Okay.
So
I get you. Tim, your first winner.
Oh man, first winner for this one. I should have thought about this.
Say the list again. What's everybody picked? I don't care who picked it, but what they have.
Cassie, Salenka, Turnaloose, Sophitia, Grow, and Jetta 2. You can pick the same characters as other people if you want.
No, we never pick the same characters. It's the unspoken rule.
Ooh, damn.
We haven't though. We
traditionally don't. Yes.
I'm gonna pick. Gosh, I wish I could remember what people said they were going to take with them.
That's right. You guys are in the Legendary Wolf chat, so you guys know.
I know. Yeah. We know.
Gosh. I want to say, I think...
Just pick one right now.
Just pick one right now.
All right, I'll say Turnaloose.
Okay.
I think he's got a
doubling
shot.
up. He's doubling up. All right,
doubling
okay,
up.
And then I pick one, so
Yeah.
we don't like affect each other. I'm going to pick.
Yes. You got all this time to think about one now, and I know you're into the gun and you don't have one. Come on,
I'm
man.
gonna pick Goro again.
Okay.
That's a good one.
He didn't even show up at the last PTC.
I know, but Shane's going to this one, so you never know.
Okay, yes, you know, yeah, he's probably playing because
Is he?
Yes, he's going.
Okay.
That's what Mark said. Mark and Shane are probably driving down.
Oh, so probably pick Shinnok because Mark's probably playing Shinnok. Maybe
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
That'd be a good pick, man. Because
Sure, I got faith in nobody. I'll do that for my second one.
Shinnok. Okay.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, not bad pick. I put Chinook, by the way, just like his full-on card says. Chinook.
Man, who else is in the set? I want to pick one new character, so I'm not lame. Could I pick Cassie and Goro for the last one because I was lame?
Yeah, I'm lame. I picked Cassie and Selenka. I went double C's.
I don't want to pick Tyson.
You can pick Janet. Remy?
Janet not picked yet? Janet's not picked?
Janet's not picked. Eugenia's not picked.
I don't think Janet's gonna win. I don't think Janet's gonna win.
I would actually like Zolt wouldn't be too bad of a pick, I think.
No, it's not topping though, it's winning.
It's winning, yes. It's winning.
Yeah. It's a win.
And
I think Zolt will top, but they're not gonna
I actually
win.
think Selenka.
I think Zolt can top. I don't think he will top.
Yeah, so
I don't know if there's gonna be a Zolt that I'm not paying attention to everything. I don't know if there's gonna be a Zolt there that can top.
Yeah.
Or that
I'll give faith in somebody showing up and blowing a lot. I'll pick Remelus.
All right, yeah.
Nice.
I almost went with that.
All right. So Tim, diversities. How many diversities in your 23-man tournament will there be?
3.
Wow.
Oh,
that's a lot. Banking on those new characters, probably.
This last one was rigged because a bunch of them gave wins and or lost because they couldn't make it anyway, and so it changed the number.
Yeah.
Kevin Broberg would have been very upset considering the results. All right. Anyway, for my 26-person event, I'm gonna say 2. I'll do 2.
All right. Cool, man. All right. Sweet. We actually got him live this time instead of having me to text you. That's great.
I know.
It's great.
I'm sorry.
I think that's pretty much it for the show. Other than what else we got? We have nothing in closing. I think we have more events. We did all that stuff. Yeah, I don't think we got much else to talk about other than me and Tim Tim's gonna try to set up a restream this weekend on his Twitch channel because I'll be busy doing volunteering stuff on Saturday. So if I get back in time, I may join him on his channel. So and then I'll just restream that to Rockford. But watch his channel first, then watch Rockford if you want. So Barrett, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Thanks, Tim, for coming on.
It's
good to be with you. I know you've been on before, but good with you. And shout outs to Tim and I's sponsor, Legendary Wolf Games. Take your gaming from ordinary to legendary.
Heck yeah.
I think that I honestly think that gets said more than anything else on the show. Honestly, it might, because Tim makes up for it. Tim makes up for it during our restreams because he says it anytime there's a lull in the action, just because I think he's contractually obligated to mention it every round.
Reasonable prices, quick shipping, and always take care of you.
Yes, there you go.
I mean, I can't disagree with him. I sell my own cards and I still buy from them. I almost wore my shirt because I can't go to an event until Rockford, so I don't get to use it.
Actually, mine's in my car waiting for me to take it to the cleaners.
Oh, jeez.
All right, I think that's it though. So
Tim, I want to say thanks again. Barrett, it was good to see you on here again, buddy. Glad to have you back on.
I'll be here next week. I promise.
Because I know you have UFS sometimes on Tuesdays. So,
I might have JJ and Kyle with me if we want some free guests.
Oh, free guests? All right. I think every guest is free anyways. I don't have to pay for anything.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
So.
Even I'm not getting paid.
You're a sponsored player. You get paid by somebody else. You come on here because you like us. So. Other than that, stay tuned for more information on the Rockford PTC. By the time this airs, we should have the playmat image out. Again, cannot stress, please pre-register. It makes it so much easier on the store. Just give us your name, we'll put you down. You will get pre-registration price at the door instead of paying the extra money at the door. But if you want to give the store $5 extra, it's fine. So whatever. And then it's $20 for pre-registration and then $25 at the door. So.
And it's just for giving them your name that you're going to be there?
Yeah. Yeah,
Guys, come on, do it. Are you kidding me?
Because
Do
they
that.
can't, for some reason, their online shop's all messed up because they're in the process of moving everything over to one location. So they just want to. It's easier to just take names down and then people pay them at the store. So, yeah,
like this is not a good thing to do. But like if it's literally just giving them your name that you're maybe gonna be there,
yeah, just do it.
like it's really not a big hit if you don't even end up going. But if you think you're gonna go, but you're like, oh, I don't know if I got the vacation time yet, or if I got work off. Like, just call the store. That's just tell them. $5 is worth a phone call.
It's definitely you can use that for like trinkets at the store or lunch.
That's
or whatever,
an extra pack for a new set.
Because it's pre-release weekend, maybe. I've been trying to find out the information, and Jasco hasn't gotten back to me. So once I hear about it, I'll let you all know. So
don't worry, because I'll be ready for an emergency Guile treatment if we have to do it.
We will.
Okay. I'll be on vacation, so I'll be ready.
It's all right. All right, everyone. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later. See ya.
Bye.